Hello, welcome back here in the Caden's Weather Center right now. Today we're going to be doing a daily weather update right now here on the tropics. We're also going to be doing the severe weather threat. It's very big that we're getting the tropics now involved here. We do have a possible and are actually probably going to have a tropical system here in the Eastern Pacific, but we'll talk about that here pretty shortly. But right now, let's talk about what's going on around the United States. Well, we can clearly see some rainfall continuing on over here in the northern part of the United States, but you probably can obviously see majority of the weather is more into the south of the United States. Stretching all the way from Virginia, Pennsylvania, all the way into the Gulf here. That's kind of what we're looking at here with our main severe weather threat kind of just continuing on here in eastern Alabama and going into central Georgia. And that storm system will eventually continue to move off to the east here, and then possibly some storms forming here could possibly head up into Florida, but we're also expecting those sea breeze thunderstorms like we have been seeing over the last week here in the state of Florida. So let's take a look right now here on the severe weather severe weather outlook right now and what we're going to be paying attention to. We can obviously see slight risk is our main two areas right here for the possibility for some severe weather as we go throughout today. You can see that does include parts of southern Mississippi here, goes into central and southern Alabama, as well as central and southern Georgia, with a marginal risk kind of around that, stretching from just North Carolina down into the Florida Panhandle and Louisiana. And then we also we're paying attention to Texas with that slight weather risk here in the southwestern part of Texas, with the marginal risk continuing as well in Texas, but also extending up right to the west. So we're going to continue to pay attention to that. The tornado chances, very, there's still a chance of possibility, and we've already seen a couple tornado warnings actually in Alabama and Georgia today, but nothing too severe that we could be expecting from this. Wind threat will be a little bit more up there, as well as the hail threat more in the Texas region here. We could be having some significant to severe hail in the Texas region, so that's something that we're going to want to pay attention to very closely if you live in Texas. Taking a look right now here at the severe weather threat for tomorrow here, we're going to be seeing that slight risk continuing on in the Oklahoma Panhandle, as well as still in the western part of Texas and heading into a little bit of New Mexico here. We're going to continue to see that slight weather risk. We're going to see the marginal risk stretching all the way from the east coast into the central plains here of the United States, and then also still once again into the Florida Panhandle and really all the way down here into southern Texas as well. The tornado threat for tomorrow obviously still very slight in these areas and where those slight risk area is. The wind chances you can definitely see spreads out a little bit more here, stretching from the east coast all the way up over here into the central plains, but we can obviously see that 15% chance will be for that Oklahoma and northern the Texas Panhandle and the Oklahoma Panhandle there, and then the hail threat kind of still in these general areas, 15%, but not major hail expected for tomorrow, and that's as of right now, so we'll have to keep an eye on that just in case if major hail could be possibly in effect as we go into tomorrow. So let's take a look right now here at the future radar. What are we looking at with the future radar? Well, we're going to see this right now. So currently going on here, we can obviously see there's some storms continuing on throughout Alabama. These are a little bit more farther off to the east as of this time. So we're continuing to pay attention to that. So expecting here, this is your time frame right over here on the right side of your screen. This will be 6 p.m. tonight. This is kind of a general idea on what we could be expecting here. Scattered in showers and thunderstorms right now continuing on at this evening in Georgia, going through Alabama as well as southern Mississippi, with the heaviest amount of rain continuing on over here in the northern part of this map here, stretching from West Virginia, North Carolina, even into parts of Kentucky and maybe even southern Pennsylvania as well. Then we see the scattered thunderstorms, the sea breeze thunderstorms continuing on here in the east coast of Florida and central part of Florida. That will, kind of go away as we go on throughout the night here, and as 11 p.m. comes around, we're going to be seeing these storms right here really start to dissipate, not being as strong, but still some pretty big storms maybe going through Savannah, Georgia, and then possibly the locally heavy rain could possibly be a big thing here as we go through the next couple of hours here for the East Coast. Then we go throughout the overnight hours, really starts to clear up, but when we wake up here around 7 a.m. here, we can see very large storms continuing to move through eastern part of Texas. That is not exactly associated with a major severe weather threat. That is a little bit for our severe weather threat tomorrow, but not the full of it. And you can obviously see with these scattered showers and thunderstorms that they will dissipate and head into a lot more unfavorable environment to make them more scattered as we go on throughout the rest of the day, throughout tomorrow evening. All that rain pushed off to the East Coast. Now we're generally looking at here Louisiana, Mississippi, and maybe even parts of Arkansas as well, and all these storms will continue to move off to the east as well as some scattered showers and thunderstorms continuing on in the Florida Peninsula as well, and we'll continue to see that kind of go on, and then we will see more here possibly on May 29th. We could be seeing some more scattered and shower thunderstorms there and on May 29th, so 2 days from now in that evening time, so we could be paying attention to that one very, very closely. Scattered showers and thunderstorms continuing obviously on here in the state of Florida. Taking a look here at a different type of model, the RGEM model, you can obviously see some pretty big thunderstorms. This kind of gives us a general idea. We'll calm down a little bit, and then we start to see some of those storms early tomorrow morning, maybe even tomorrow evening. We're going to be seeing some of these storms just move off to the east here, and that will continue to possibly bring some pretty big storms into this general area as well as this area of our severe weather threats. So let's start talking about the tropics here, as we are now getting back into the tropics. So welcome back here. Right now it has been a while since we've talked about the tropics, obviously, as hurricane season has not been in place at all. Right now I do want to talk about the National Hurricane Center and their prediction on what we could be expecting here for the hurricane season. We can obviously see right here for the hurricane season, what are we taking a look at? Well, here it is. So above normal, this, let's talk about above normal really quickly here. This yellow area above normal, 60% chance for an above normal season with that. And then we have a 30% chance of a near normal season, with the below normal being 10% chance here for the Atlantic hurricane season. And when you exactly look at it, pretty good odds we're going to be having an above normal season. Would it be possibly compared to, last year's hurricane season? Probably not, but we definitely still have the possibilities for some pretty big hurricanes and even those major hurricanes. And you can see that right here. Named storms, 13 and 19 named storms here predicted by the National Hurricane Center. 6 to 10 hurricanes that we could possibly be expecting. So out of these 13 and 19 named storms, 6 to 10 of those will become hurricanes, and 3 to 5 of those could become major hurricanes. Obviously, we can't predict on where we're going to be expecting these hurricanes to hit. If it's the East Coast, if it's the West Coast, is it the Gulf, is it anywhere like that? We can't predict that at this moment, but obviously since hurricane season is getting ready to start, especially on June 1st, and especially as we're already watching something in the Eastern Pacific and maybe something in the Gulf in the Gulf as well, we're going to keep an eye on that very, very closely here, and we're going to want to watch. So make sure you're prepared if you live in states that were impacted last year, specifically Florida. So make sure you're prepared for hurricane season as it starts soon. All right, so let's talk about right now here the Eastern Pacific. We can obviously see Disturbance 1 right now here, the first disturbance here of the hurricane season for the Eastern Pacific. Their hurricane season started on May 15th. That's when we started getting these updates here. We are expecting a tropical system, 100% chance here of formation. We have a tropical depression or a tropical storm right now in this general area here, and it is a well-defined low pressure here, and it has gotten completely organized and will be forming here around the 5 p.m. They will probably bring out an update here at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, by the time that you're watching this video, it will already be out and we will already have a tropical system, and I'll touch on that a little bit more tomorrow as well. But let's take a look right now at the satellite picture and what that's kind of looking at this time. What are we kind of looking at with this satellite picture? Well, we're kind of seeing a lot of thunderstorm activity. You can see maybe a little bit of spin there, but a lot of thunderstorm activity going on into the northern part of the storm. Definitely not as much as it was earlier today, and it seems like it's trying to cause a little bit more of thunderstorms off to its northwestern side here, but eventually this will continue to make its way off to the northwest as well. And you can see that here with the spaghetti models and kind of what we were looking at here. You can definitely see at that, around 12 hours out, we start seeing a very big spread out here, and that's kind of something that we could be paying attention to on where this storm could go, especially if you live in the west coast of Mexico here. We could be seeing something being a little bit more of a concern here due to the spread out. So the more that they hug the east, the more possibly it will go into Mexico. The more west, the more likely it will not go into Mexico. And if it goes into the west coast of Mexico, a lot of mudslides and a lot of flooding could be some big potential problems with that. Invest 90E, the model intensity guidance, we can see some of those models getting up to category 1 strength, so we could possibly be seeing a hurricane to start off the season. Especially the hurricane models, these two right here are really hinting at a category 1, so we'll have to see on what the National Hurricane Center thinks if it's going to get to a category 1, but I can tell you the favorable conditions are there for a hurricane, and especially early in the season here. Right now here for the Atlantic side, we have nothing active right now on the Atlantic side, and that is not expected for the next 7 days. We'll keep an eye on that very, very closely. Here we're gonna, just give, just like a little quick peek here on the Atlantic right now, just to see on exactly what is happening, and just to talk about it as we just talked about the Eastern Pacific. Let's take a look right now here at the Atlantic. Couple tropical waves will be continuing to move off to the west here through the Atlantic here. We're seeing, not terrible thunderstorm activity, maybe some thunderstorm, some big clouds bubbling up over there, over the Dominican Republic, that area right there. But these tropical waves will eventually continue to make off their, into the western motion here, and we're going to see that kind of continue on, especially since we are in hurricane season. They come off Africa and they make their way around the Atlantic here. So let's take a look at some models, because we have been seeing something here, and we've seen a little bit of a trend here of some possible formation here in the next coming week here. So let's take a look at the GFS. So right now, as you can see at the bottom left of the GFS screen, you can obviously see there is that system that could form, that's already going to be forming right here in the Eastern Pacific, that will continue off to the northwest. But if we take a look at the Atlantic side, we can obviously see not terrible much going on right now. But then as you get into June 6th here, possible low pressure forming right here. Big questions. Does it go to the west? Does it go to the north? We've seen different kind of model runs here, different. Obviously, it's almost 240 hours out, so it's a little hard to take serious here. But you can see the GFS has been pretty consistent with it. Another storm down here in the Eastern Pacific, but has been really consistent on a possible low pressure system forming here at least in the Caribbean here, and we'll continue to see that. But now, as of the 12Z model run, this storm will be continuing to move off to the west, as from the 00Z model run earlier this morning. It went more to the coast of Florida, but you can obviously see a possible hurricane here, possible category 1, category 2 brought up by the GFS here, and will really just kind of hang out in the Gulf there, and will get pushed off to the west here, maybe Texas and Mexico. But then you go over here to the early morning hours of the 00Z, and that was a whole different scenario, forming a little bit later on here, but definitely not being as strong, but really brought it in to the Florida Peninsula, and that could be a whole different scenario. And I will want to say the biggest thing is it depends on this high pressure and how much that builds up over here. That will depend on the location of where the storm could possibly impact, but we've been having a lot of mixed signals from the GFS at this time. Taking a look here at the European model, we can obviously see currently not terrible much going on. There's a low pressure system possibly right there, but not really forming at all for the European model. Not planning on anything exactly forming as much as the GFS, and it's not being as aggressive. But the Euro model does pick up on a stronger high pressure to kind of guide that storm off more to the west here, and we'll get into more detail just in case if the storm does possibly form here in the future. Taking a look at the GFS ensembles here as of the 12Z model run, we can obviously see not much going on. Then we start to see these yellow starts popping up, these red numbers. That's something that we could be paying attention to. When we start seeing orange, that's storms, just like here in the Eastern Pacific, we're seeing that. And then we're going to be seeing it continue on. So right there, here that June 6th range, we have these storms starting to pop up here with the possibilities. These are all individual GFS ensembles telling us that there's possible formation here. So that's something to pay attention to, and watch how they just explode in just a day here in the northern part of the Caribbean, and that could possibly go up to the north, to the west. Different scenarios here that we could be seeing, and obviously the intensity, no idea on what it's going to be, especially when it's this far out. And then you could see, look at that. All of this orange right here is different models and the different ensembles within the GFS model saying a different possible scenario here. The ensembles have the high pressure a lot more farther out, so that would kind of give it more of a more northern approach here on kind of giving it to where it wants. But then some bring it into still the west, still make that western motion. So we have a lot of different scenarios on what we could be seeing here for this part. But majority of it does bring it into the Florida Peninsula, but don't be too concerned about it right now because it is still very far out. But that is something we're going to be continuing to pay attention to, is the tropics, as now we're heading into hurricane season. But I would like to thank you so much for watching and tuning into Caden's Weather Center right now. If you guys have any more questions or anything about any weather scenarios right now, make sure to leave it down in the comments down below. I will do my best to possibly answer them as fast as possible. And as well, I will hope to see you guys in the next video. Make sure to follow my X page down in the description, as well as I have some big news on June 1st. A Discord server is coming soon. So if you guys like weather and all of that, and you guys like talking about weather, a Discord server will be coming soon. So on June 1st, that will be all set up, and I hope that you guys will be there to attend the Discord server, as well as my new videos that will come out and possible live streams. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.